When we talk about the economy, we can think in big terms like the GNP and stock market exchanges, or we can think about where the people actually are, on main streets in our towns and cities. This Economic Development Week, we are bringing on two small businesses that have had big impacts. We're talking to Lori Fazio, President and COO of the nationally renowned R.J. Julia Bookstore, and Joel Camisar of Chapman Manufacturing to discuss what it means to be a Connecticut business. We'd like to thank our sponsors at Gateway Community College and Housatonic Community College. The Municipal Voice is the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities podcast in collaboration with WNHH LP 103.5 FM. I'm your host, Matt Ford. As always, be sure to give us a like and let us know what you're thinking in the comments. CCM's Municipal Voice podcast continues to present a key forum on important state-local issues. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the consensus views of CCM or our member municipal leaders. Lori, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Great to have you. R.J. Julia's is perhaps one of the most renowned and reputable local bookstores in the state. And although it feels like it's been a constant resource, it's a fairly young business. For those that don't know about R.J. Julia, can tell us a little bit about how the bookstore got started, the founders, and why they chose Madison.
Sure. So Roxanne Cody is the sole owner here, and she has been since the beginning. We just celebrated our 33rd birthday, which was, is very exciting. And so this was her second career. Roxanne was in the tax world for a very, very long time and always loved books, grew up with books, wanted to open a bookstore. And so she decided to make a change, and they moved out of the city and up to Connecticut. Why she chose Madison is because it's kind of the middle of the shoreline when you think about the shoreline. And, when she did like a diameter, even though half of that is in the water, the other half of it really reached a good part of the state without being necessarily right in New Haven or right in Hartford, where, we could be accessible to other other people, and they could easily get to us. So
but where you guys are, being pretty much right on Route 1 there, kind of, it's Main Street in Madison, but it's also Route 1, so people just kind of naturally are kind of flowing through there.
Right. And Madison is a it's a smaller downtown than some of the the nearby towns, but people come through here all the time. We've got great beaches, and Hammonasset is right down the street. And so it's very well traveled, our Route 1.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And obviously at CCM, we're interested in towns and local communities. And it says on your website that supporting your store is supporting a place that has contributed to the civic and creative life of the community for almost 30 years.
Right.
Can you expand a little bit on why that's important to you and the business?
Yeah, well, asking people to shop local, you need to walk the walk, right? And it's important for us to have the support of our neighbors, as well as the community. And so we feel that doing events with people, different organizations might have different needs. We do a lot of, we hire your daughter, your son, your neighbor, so, we're employed by the people that live in the area. And the schools, and we work with the schools, and we bring authors to schools and other nonprofits that we can donate to, and the fundraisers, and your Girl Scout troop wants to have a cookie sale out front, so we feel that it's really important to be accessible to not only the people that live here, but the people that want to support here and want to keep local downtowns vibrant and filled with businesses.
And one thing that's kind of interesting about your particular business, been 33 years in the book industry, but a lot of that time has been concurrent with, another big player out there that, Amazon, that has a lot of local bookstores, especially at the start, were freaking out. Like, it's the end of the bookstore as we know it. So what's it like to be an independent bookseller in 2023? And, what makes you stand out? How have you survived and thrived?
Yeah, so they are a competitor for sure. And so the way that I look at it often is, we don't need 100% of the sales out there in the world. We need enough of the sales to keep us in business, right? I mean, and that's a way that I've looked at sales, through my entire, career, even before R.J. Julia's. And so what is it like for us? Well, we're the ones that hear the stomping of the stairs at the end of the day when the kids are running up the stairs to
Hmm.
come, to the kids' room. We're the ones that, get the letters when someone walks in and or they've been in and they say, I wanted to send you a letter because, I lost my spouse and my first outing was to the bookstore and I
Hmm.
knew I could feel safe and welcome and warm there. Um, so these are the thrilling things that we go through every day. We
Yeah.
make a difference and we get to see that. And so yeah, we might be a couple dollars more because um our program is not to, sell books at a loss intentionally, which
Yeah.
someone else does. Ours is to curate the books, find the right book. When you come in and you say, I have no idea what to read next, and I just read this book that I loved,
Hmm.
we could say to you, okay, well, what did you love about it? Oh, here are three choices that we know that you're going to love as well because
Hmm.
we've read them. We're the experts. We're not just, an algorithm that's going
Hmm.
to, put something in your hands for not a good reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we love it, and we get to, like I said, we get to see people every day, and we get to bring authors not only to the schools but into the
Hmm.
store, and we get to watch the joy of someone meeting their favorite author or
Yeah.
discovering a new author, that they hadn't heard of, but they decided to come to an event. And so there's a lot of great reasons
Yeah.
that we like doing what we're doing.
Could you talk a little bit more about some of those events that you do? Like, what are some of your favorites? What's some of the coolest stuff you've had? Like, who's shown up in Madison to do
Oh,
stuff?
geez. So we've had so many. We recently did an event with Angie Thomas.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to start really, really local and really recent. So Angie Thomas wrote the book The Hate You Give, which went on to be a movie.
Hmm.
And she just wrote her very first middle grade book, which people are thrilled about because, her other books are young adult and they're
Hmm.
not really, accessible to that young, 12, 11 or 12-year old. But
Hmm.
this one is, and it's fantasy. And so she was such a joy to meet. And she came out and we also brought her to a school and she
Oh,
rapped,
very cool.
and to hear like the kids like screaming in the audience was so much fun. But we have chefs and we've had, like Jacques Pepin, lives in town and he comes every time he has a book and he signs for us. And we've had Buddy Velastra from the Cake Boss, and
Hmm.
Martha Stewart came, and we had Barbara Walters
Yeah.
and Neil Gaiman,
Hmm.
had a line. He signed for 4 hours straight, and
Oh,
then
that's very cool.
at the end plunged his hand into a bucket of ice from signing. He didn't take one break. We've had
Wow.
athletes. We had Mariano Rivera. He was so sweet. I mean, I loved, having him here, and Jorge
Hmm.
Posada, and we had Kurt Schilling. I mean, so the list goes on. We had Adina Menzel come in
Hmm.
December with her sister, and so there's so many great authors, but these are the authors that have, the named authors that people will have
Hmm.
heard of. We also have hosted debut authors, and we were the first event for some of these authors
Yeah.
that go on to become, really big authors in the literary world.
Hmm.
So, we really run the gamut. We bring in authors of all, likes for all different
Yeah.
kind of readers, and whatever you want to read, we're going to bring you something. So there's always something on our schedule that should be appealing to a variety of people.
Yeah. And is that kind of variety of people for events kind of reflective of the variety of what people are reading? Like in terms of your local business at Arte Julia, what sells there? What are customers coming in for in Madison?
Yeah, they're reading everything.
Yeah.
We pay very close attention to are the different sections that we have. And so, for example, we recently expanded the romance section.
Hmm.
So romance over the last year or so has just boomed. And it's actually turned your non-reader into a reader.
Hmm.
And I'm not suggesting that they're like Hallmark movies, but the Hallmark Christmas movies, right,
Yeah.
have also become a thing. So has romance books. And then we recently also expanded, go the other direction. We put in a horror section.
Hmm.
So, because people love that. And so we've
Yeah.
got its own section now. And those kind of sections kind of expand and shrink over the years, depending on what we're seeing as trends and what people are
Hmm.
looking for. Has a lot to do with what's going on in the world, horror,
Yeah.
romance, I don't know, take that any way you like. But so they're buying everything though.
Hmm.
We've got a lot of nonfiction readers in here, but also our fiction readers, and gardening,
Hmm.
at certain times of the year explodes. Cookbooks is always popular. In our
Yeah.
kids section, forget it. That's always, we always have a zillion different kinds of books in kids, because kids are all, growing up. And, if you want to read about sports, or you want to read about, the tooth fairy,
Yeah.
we've got those things. So yeah, our events do mirror that to
Hmm.
some degree. And we also sometimes will bring in an author, that we think, might appeal to people that they hadn't heard of before, or maybe they haven't taken a chance on reading that genre before.
Hmm.
But we always book an event, we feel that it's got a purpose, to be here.
Yeah, it's very cool. And thinking about, all the different sections and how you said like the romance is kind of big right now. And I
Yeah,
know my mother actually is a librarian, a children's librarian for many years. And, she always said, let the kids read what they want. If they want to read Goosebumps books or whatever, if they think that's fun, it doesn't have to be serious or great
exactly.
literature. If they're reading and enjoying it, that's the important part. And they
That's
may
right.
then go on to read the other stuff or explore new
Right.
things, but like
Yeah.
it's
I agree
reading
with that
should be fun.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do get parents in here sometimes, and they'll say, "Oh, all they want to do is read a graphic novel. That's
Yeah.
not a book." And I said, "Yeah, it is a book." And graphic novels also over the last probably 5 to 10 years
Hmm.
has exploded. And so if they're reading, they're reading. They're gaining words, their vocabulary, their understanding, their comprehension. I mean, it's on the concept of putting a story together,
Hmm.
so those graphic novels are actually more important than people think they are,
Yeah.
because the kids actually kind of have to think more than they do in reading
Hmm.
a regular, I shouldn't say regular, because see, that puts the stigmatism on it, but reading a traditional book.
Yeah.
So I think it's all important. If you're reading, you're doing what you should be doing.
You mentioned some of the authors that you've had in, and some of them are local. Do you, as a local kind of business, feel a little bit of an obligation to make sure you have like local authors on the shelves and topics that are relevant to the community and to the area?
Yeah, so that's a bit of a loaded question,
Hmm.
because, it's hard for us to be able to carry every single title that every single person has
Hmm.
published, right? And
Yeah.
there, everybody has a book in them. It doesn't mean that everyone, should be reading that book, or even wants to read that book, to put it,
Hmm.
candidly. But so what we try to do, and we're actually bringing back a program that's called our local and independent author program.
Hmm.
And that allows us to do an event with, maybe two or three like genre
Hmm.
authors, and have them come in, do an event with us. And they bring, they'll promote it to their friends and family and readers, and we'll promote it to ours. And then they can present to this crowd, and
Hmm.
maybe, the person that you brought in will buy my book, and maybe the
Hmm.
person that I brought in will buy your book. And so
Yeah.
it cross promotes their books, and it allows us to support them without necessarily saying, okay, well, we'll carry,
Your stuff
one
on
of
our
your book and one of
shelves
your
and
book,
yeah, yeah.
because one book isn't really going to do anything for them, but this will give them more exposure. So
Yeah.
we're working on bringing that back, and that's actually going to be done more through our the Wesley and RJ Julia bookstore.
Yeah.
And it should be well received,
Yeah.
because before the pandemic it was doing quite well, but we had to put it on hiatus, A, for the pandemic, and then B, for staffing purposes. We couldn't, support it, but it's coming back.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's almost like the equivalent in music of the open mic night or the
Sure.
local act night where, support the
Right.
community and whatever without necessarily everyone wanting to
Right.
buy the
But we
book.
will we will schedule them. So
Yeah.
so it's not necessarily like, I don't want
Not
everybody to
open. Yeah,
show
it's not
up
open,
on
but local night or
but yeah,
something.
it
That's
is
cool.
similar to that. You're right. When it across audiences, hopefully.
Yeah. So you mentioned this a little bit, but you are expanding your footprint from Madison into Middletown as the Wesleyan RJ Julia Campus Bookstore.
That's right.
How did that come about, and why a campus bookstore?
Well, so we're actually on Main Street. And so we have our Main Street store, and then there is also a campus store
Okay.
that focuses more on license, but we're going to be expanding some books up there. But so we've been working with the university for many, many years, and talking about it, and talking with the town of Middletown as they were trying to revitalize Main Street. And I remember growing up and going to Main Street there, shopping with my parents, and there was lots of retail there. So bringing a bookstore in was something that everybody was on board with. And Michael Roth, the president of Wesleyan, worked with us and reached out to Roxanne, and then Roxanne and I worked with a team up at the university to put this together. And it actually came once we started narrowing it down. We got it pulled together rather quickly, and then built rather quickly. And it's new for us, for sure. I mean, we're not usually in the market of bringing in textbooks to the R.J. Julian Madison, or buying licensed and these sweatshirts and things like that. I mean, we have sidelines and non-book and all kinds of fun gifts, but this was a whole different world. So I reached outside and did a lot of interviewing to people that were very well versed in those topics and those positions, and we put together this wonderful team. And so we now support the university, as well as we're also a community bookstore. And so it's great. You can walk in and you can see the Wesleyan R.J. Julia gear, but then you can also go back to the kids' room or go into fiction or mystery and talk to our experienced booksellers. And it's fun. It is a very different vibe than the Madison store, but in a relative way. I mean, there are some things that we've tried to carry over that, there's some consistency that you feel that you're in an R.J. Julia store with the spin of having the university. And so it's been
almost
fun.
On campus, more or less. Pretty close.
It's a lot of fun. And it's great to see the pride of the faculty and staff of the university, and the students, of course, and their families, as well as now the town feels, I mean, not that they weren't proud of Wesleyan before, but now maybe they're going to come in and buy that Wesleyan t-shirt, and be like, I live in Middletown where this great university is. And so we're hoping to to expand that out a little bit. And then we've got a cafe up there too, and they serve the students. So lunchtime, when the students come down, it's really busy, and it's fun. It's a fun store.
Definitely. And is that unusual for universities in this area to have an independent bookstore? Are most textbook stores kind of run by large companies, sort of thing?
Yes. Yep. We are there are a few out there that are independent. And there's actually a group that we joined so that we could talk about things and learn what's successful in other independent bookstores that are campus stores. But it is not the norm. It's definitely we're unique, particularly in Connecticut, but even across the country.
And I think I remember remembering like Barnes and Noble running the campus textbook store. One of those larger companies was
Barnes and Noble runs the Yale bookstore. Yep, and they run a lot of them across the country. So, but this, we feel others should do it our way. I mean, it's a challenge and it takes a lot. But we're always up to the challenge. Try something new and see what happens.
Well, speaking of being up to the challenge and trying new things, how do you feel about the future of the book selling business in general and in Connecticut?
I feel great about it. I think that, like I said before, the unique things that we bring to our communities and our customers, that's not going to go away. There are people, there was, after the other thread that we talked about, then there was the thread of the e-readers. And no one's going to have,
or the whatever's
no one's going to put a print book in their hand ever again. And that plateaued. And what we found was that people use them, but they use them more for a specific purpose. So when they're traveling or if they're commuting and things like that. But when they're home in their house, or if they're on the beach, or they want a real book in their hands, and maybe not everybody, but the majority. So print books are not going to go away. They're definitely here to stay, and people like them on their bookshelves. And what fun is it to have one single e-reader on your bookshelf, and not a pile of books there that you can curate and go back to and mark your favorite pages,
Yeah.
and they're worn. So I feel really good about it. And
Yeah.
but I'm also, we're a little spoiled because we are really supported, as I mentioned, by our community. And it's not by accident, but we do, feel blessed in that matter, and we are very thankful for that. And so we're always, keeping the bar high. We never take for granted, every morning when we start our day, we never take for granted that we're going to have some, customers that we see regularly and some customers that we've never seen before, and it might be their first time here. So that's always how we greet each day. And, our staff is very, finely chosen, and
Yeah.
they've got to be ready to give the best customer service and do what's best for our customer, go to the ends of the earth to make it work for them. So I feel really good. And Connecticut, we're also, well supported by our, the government here. And, they do a lot for the small businesses, and the Chamber of Commerce, Madison Chamber of Commerce is small, but they do a lot of, small things. But then the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce, I mean, they're amazing. So we were truly supported on many levels.
Yeah, the importance of the community and the local area to a small business can't be overestimated.
Right.
Well, Lori Fazio of RJ Julia, thank you so much for speaking with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking time out to bring our name to some that maybe haven't heard of us. So thank you so much.
Coming up next, we'll be speaking to Joel Camisar of Chapman Manufacturing in Durham.
You are listening to the Municipal Voice on WNHH 103.5 FM. Joel, thanks for joining us today.
So happy to be here.
Chapman Manufacturing was founded around 80 years ago in Durham, Connecticut, around the same time as a lot of other tool manufacturers, some of which are long gone now, and others have become big name brands. How has your company survived through 8 decades, but still kind of remained a locally owned business?
Well, it's funny. We joke around here that any business started in 1936 during the height of the Great Depression. If it can survive that, then it can survive just about anything else. So we've managed to stay in business really because of the absolute dogged commitment to quality. Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even into the 70s, we always made really high quality tools, but that was before the import tool market really was available. So we competed with other manufacturers, with other American manufacturers, excuse me. Then in the late 70s, 80s, 90s to now, we're competing with a lot of import tools from China, Taiwan, Malaysia, wherever. And, obviously we cannot compete on price with them, but again, we definitely compete on quality and durability.
Very cool. So it's not like you came up with some new kind of high standard for quality. It's more like you maintain the quality standards that a lot of people used to have for tool making.
Exactly.
You stayed true to the original thing and didn't go with cheaper methods or ship it overseas to save some money.
Exactly. It kind of the ain't broke, if it ain't broke colloquialism.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. A lot of companies, even U.S. companies, brought production overseas and are now reshoring, which is what they call when they bring production back to the U.S. We never left. We've been in the same building since 1965. And some of the same equipment is still here since 1965. We've upgraded a lot over the years, obviously, as new tooling and technology has come out. But yeah, we're still making essentially the exact same thing in a similar fashion from the same material.
So another thing of note is that you are a woman-owned business.
Yes.
And you're committed to green manufacturing. Your factory is a certified wildlife habitat. I think, kind of importantly, all your tools are made right here in Connecticut. Why are these things important to you as a business?
They're important to us as a business because the business is located in the community that we live in. The owner, Tracy, lives in Durham. I live in Madison. Most of the people that work here live very locally, and we all feel that this is our home.
Yeah.
This is where we live and work, so it is in our best interest to take care of it. The manufacturing in the Northeast, especially in Connecticut, especially in Durham,
Mhm.
in the 50s and 60s, did a lot of not so great things, and now
Now there's brownfield
stating
sites that people are worried about where there was factories putting,
right.
chemicals and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And there was a major chemical fire in Durham
Hmm.
20 years ago of a manufacturing facility. So it kind of has a bad rap. So, it's part of that, it's our community. And, I feel that, it's in the long term, everyone's best interest to, keep a really nice place to work that isn't going to be a problem in the future.
Hmm.
So that's why, we're National Wildlife NWF habitat. We have
Hmm.
multiple pollinator gardens.
Yeah. How does that work? What do you do to actually get that certification?
So you can do it online. You have
Hmm.
to have, there's a lot of qualifications. Like you have to have native species planted, you have to
Hmm.
have trees, you have to have availability of running water, um, things like that.
Hmm.
Um, all of which we have. We have about 2 acres of land that the shop sits on.
So if
And
someone hears manufacturing, they think some big industrial factory complex with smoke pouring. That's not at all. You've
yeah,
got
that's
trees
not us.
and plants and
Yeah, we got
yeah,
plants and we got a picnic table in the garden where people take their lunch outside when it's
yeah.
nice. And we always, every year, we have a green initiative.
Hmm.
So for this year, I purchased a cardboard shredding machine.
Hmm.
So it takes the excess cardboard that packages they know that come in the shop,
Hmm.
excess cardboard boxes that we have, and turns it into packing material. So if you place an order with us, you'll probably get some kind of like stretchy cardboard stuff that's actually just a recycled box.
Hmm.
So the purchase of that machine was kind of our green initiative for 2023.
So there's a good chance that we wouldn't be talking to you at all today if the quality of your tools wasn't as high as it is. Can you talk to us a little bit about all the kind of stuff you offer from, typewriter and bicycle kits to the MIDI master and deluxe wooden cases? You kind of have a interesting range of products.
Sure. So our niche across our product line is people that have to work on delicate equipment in tight spaces.
Hmm.
So that is everything from industrial and robotics
Hmm.
uses to aerospace to newer technologies like electronics, drones, PC boards, medical equipment. A
Hmm.
lot of people use our stuff for MRI machine maintenance and servicing. So we offer a bunch of different tools for different uses and industries.
Hmm.
Some are more specific, like the typewriter set is really only useful for typewriters, but
Hmm.
then our bigger kits, like our master kits, cover a large range of things,
Hmm.
a huge range of uses. In fact, almost every week we get an email or a phone call for someone that uses it on something that is new for us. Like someone just wrote in to the user tools to restore antique pinball machines.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, so the uses are very wide, and I know for a fact they've been. I don't know if there's ever been a Chapman kit in space. I know NASA uses them,
Mm.
and I know also there are several Chapman kits on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean and the Red Sea because they were dropped off of ships and once a helicopter in the Pacific.
Somewhere down there, someone's tools are just waiting to be retrieved.
Yeah, exactly. So because it's a screwdriver, I mean, there's a lot of crossover, but we really sell to a range of different uses. And if you have a unique use, please let us know because we love to know where our kits end up.
That's really cool. So is that kind of one of the ways that you've survived not becoming a huge manufacturer? Is you, as a smaller one, have the ability to make specialized sets for, niche markets that don't need millions and millions of these, but the people that do need them need that special set.
Exactly. And in fact, I do all kinds of custom sets.
Hmm.
People will call me, like there's a big medical supplier that's like, okay, we use these 20 fasteners on our machines.
Hmm.
We just need a kit with 20 bits, with these specific 20 bits and our name on it.
Yeah.
And so then, we supply that. And then I do all kinds of branded work. Like a lot of people like to give our kits away as employee or customer gifts.
It's like Christmas, you get the company logo on that's really cool.
Exactly. So I'll do, sometimes they want a general set, sometimes they want something very specific, or they want a specific color or logo or bits. So, I work with them. And that has helped a lot. That's a
Yeah.
niche thing that I can do that, you can't get at Home Depot.
Yeah. Do you like recreate any kind of historical tools for people? Something that they had that broke that you can't get anymore? Is that something that comes up?
So the cool thing about Chapman tools is if you bought a Chapman kit in 1936 and you bought one today, all those tools would still be interchangeable.
That's cool.
Everything still works together. And there have been slight changes over the years, but nothing that would prevent it from fitting. So people have literally kits they bought in the 50s, 60s, and they call up and we sell open stock and they order what tools they
They just
need.
need the one bit that they broke or something,
That
and
they
boom,
broke,
they're good to go.
lost, whatever, dropped in the ocean, and we sell it to them. Take their $2, and they're happy.
So in addition to the home people there, you're also a military supplier.
Yes.
And one assumes that the quality of your tools have to be kind of rugged in order to survive in all the environments that the
Yes.
military demands. Is that relationship and the proximity to this, is the sub base part of that, or do all parts of the military use your stuff?
We sell to every branch of the military and have for a very long time. In fact, we actually have a purchase order from 1953 for 7 kits for the Nautilus sub.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And actually, we still make that same kit number. So, yeah, we've been selling to the military since at least 1953. Actually, before that, we have a kit that someone mailed in actually from Seattle. They found it in the woods, and there's a label on it with a price ceiling set by the OPA, which is the Office of Price Administration. They set price ceilings on necessary items to the war effort, World War II, to prevent price gouging.
Yeah.
And ours was one of them.
That's really cool.
Both the Nautilus sub PO and the kit with the OPA sticker, we did not know about. Someone found it.
Oh, that's really cool. So like you'd lost the records on that particular kit.
No, I have no records.
That was a custom order, maybe even, or
right. So a lot of things we've learned from customers. That was 2 examples. So we've been selling to the military since World War II, and we sell to every branch. We have special government stock numbers for a lot of our kits. I know some of the places they end up. I probably will know other places that they end up. I'm not exactly sure what I'm at liberty to say and what not, but yeah, we sell a lot to military.
Some screwdrivers might be screws, some top secret screws somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing that's kind of cool is one of your big supporters is actually Jay Leno. He invited Tracy, the owner, out to his garage and did a whole segment on Chapman manufacturing. How did that come about? What was that like for business?
That was wild. So that was in 2010. The previous owner, while the previous owner was still alive, Jay Leno had some machine that he was interested in for production. So he wrote Jay Leno a letter, and we thought nothing of it. And then, I don't know, maybe a few weeks, a month later, one of the ladies comes in the office and says, some guys on the phone says he's Jay Leno.
Yeah, right.
And we're like, yeah, okay. Turns out it actually was Jay Leno. Turns out he's used our tools forever. He has family in Connecticut, in West Haven.
Yeah, because he's a huge automotive car guy, right?
Yeah, huge. Yeah, he's got 100 something cars.
Yeah.
Used us forever. Grew up in the Northeast, chatting, and then it's like, well, if you're ever out in California, I'd love to shoot a video to support your tools as a fan.
Oh, that's really cool. He just offered that right up that he would love to do. That's really cool.
So one thing led to another. We booked tickets. We went out to Burbank to his Big Dog garage, and we filmed a video. And it cost us nothing. They released it in November of 2010, I think, and on his garage website and on YouTube. And it's really been awesome. So many people saw it. We got so many new people coming to the website. We had a large contingent of people that had Chapman sets, but just assumed that we were out of business.
They saw the label on it from 1940 40, whatever.
Exactly.
So there's no way they're still around.
Exactly. Or they just assumed that we went overseas. So
Mhm.
they were shocked to hear that we're still here in the
Still here,
same,
doing it the right way. Yeah.
doing the same thing. Yeah. So it was good for getting new customers and
Hmm.
kind of reminder marketing for existing customers.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I have it on the homepage of my website. People see it, people comment on it all the
Yeah.
time. On a personal note, Jay was the nicest guy. He showed us around his garage. We had a great time. We were there for hours.
Yeah.
Um,
The fact that he like just volunteered that, like,
yeah.
he doesn't need to do anything like that.
Yeah.
But
No.
and
And then
also
he
just his
called after the,
reputation, not just that he's famous, but he's also famously, picky about his tools and his equipment and loves that sort of stuff. So he's
oh yeah.
somewhat of a trusted voice to many, I think, on that sort of thing. If he says it's a good tool, he's not going to make it up because why would he?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no monetary gain for him. And he even called after the video, after they released the video, he called and was like, "Hey, did you get any new customers? How's it going? Blah, 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 blah."
That's really cool.
So yeah, that was like a once in a lifetime experience.
Does how people buy tools, when I was a kid, I would go with my dad to the hardware store, and it was the local owned hardware store, and you would get tools.
Yeah.
Has the business changed, and like how do you get most of your tools out there? Is it a lot of mail order? Are you in stores? How does that all work?
Sure. So the majority of the kits that we sell retail are on our website, chapmanmfg.com.
Mhm.
And that's where we have that's where we have our full product line.
Mhm.
We do sell to some industrial suppliers that sell directly to huge companies, a lot of actually other manufacturing.
So
Um,
within specific industries, there's
Specific
yeah.
industries, especially aerospace and automotive.
Mhm.
So we'll ship them, a couple hundred kits or
Mhm.
whatever at a time. But yeah, for retail, it's chapmanmfg.com. And that's changed. I mean, obviously, when we started, the internet wasn't even a pipe dream.
In 1936, the internet, not so much.
Yeah, there was no internet.
People ordering by telegraph or something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been great for us, and we put a lot of effort into the website. We have videos on there explaining how to use stuff about our tools. We got pictures. I put up a page of pictures from customers that they send
Mhm.
in of them using their tools all over the world on
Yeah,
all different kinds
that's
of
something I
crazy
guess
things.
since you took over too, like the rise of social media, not just one way street, back and forth with the customers and
Right.
sharing
Yeah,
how
I'm
they're
on
using
social
the
media.
things and
Yeah, every day someone's tagging me and tagging our tools in a post. And it's really cool. And that's one of the really cool things about e-commerce and social media is that
Mhm.
even when I started in 2013-ish,
Mhm.
we didn't really know this was when e-commerce wasn't quite as big and the social media for companies was kind of in its infancy. We
Yeah.
didn't really know where our tools ended up.
Mhm.
We shipped them, just saw the address, but now we actually get to see people using them and we get to, communicate with customers directly and see all the kinds of crazy things they work on. So
Yeah, and I
that's
imagine
been
some of the
really
customers see each
interesting.
other doing these things too, and they get the idea too, and they're like, "Oh, I want to try that," and then get the tool.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've had people send us pictures or tag me in pictures on social media of them like restoring, mid-century modern furniture and working on helicopters and oil rigs and down in mines in Mongolia and all these crazy places. So that's really neat for us.
And that is very cool. I know you did a whole episode of the Made in America podcast about the future of Chapman, but what's the Reader's Digest short version of that future vision?
I would say the short version is nothing profound. We're going to be
Mhm.
making the same tools in the same shop with the same commitment to quality in the
Mhm.
US, in Connecticut, like we've always been. We recently have come out with a lot of beautiful wood sets.
Mhm.
Our tools are really, to use a new term, kind of heirloom quality. People pass down our tools through their
Yep.
family. And people are really interested in and have purchased a lot of tools that in really nice walnut, maple,
Mm.
excuse me, cherry, different cases and things like that. So same tools, just beautiful presentation.
Yeah. If you're gonna
And
hand these tools down, have them in a nice box, not in some plastic, whatever. Yeah.
right. So that is a market that I'm definitely interested in expanding. Right now we make, geez, I don't know, 115 different size and shape bits. We will be adding some
Okay.
in the future. But I think as of right now, we've got that pretty covered. So, customers can expect to see more variation in different styles of kits, plastic kits, wood kits, different colors. All of that's been very popular. So we're definitely going to continue doing that. And then, some people use our tools at work. They don't want a wood kit. So we're always still going to have the plastic ones, that you can
You'll always have
drop and
both,
kick and whatever, and need something durable. So, we're going to be coming out with new stuff, but we're going to retain the regular line as well.
Joel, thank you so much for speaking with us today. It sounds like Chapman Manufacturing is going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. Otherwise, I'll be out of a job. So,
all right,
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
We'd like to thank our guests, Lori Fazio from RJ Julia and Joel Camisar from Chapman Manufacturing. We'd like to thank our sponsors at Gateway Community College and Housatonic Community College. Learn more at gatewayct.edu and housatonic.edu. The Municipal Voice is a co-production by CCM and WNHH 103.5 FM. Kevin Maloney is our executive producer. Christopher Gilson is our producer. Harry Draws on the boards, and I'm Matt Ford, your host. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and give us a like, and watch out for our CCM chat series on our YouTube page.